Hello and welcome to part 2 of the application capstone presentation. This is about the database and the API. Okay, so this is my database. I'm connected to MongoDB Compass, and right here where my Mongo client is connecting to the MongoDB, and this is my database right here. And I'm using a collection called BBE, Bad Bank Backend, and it shows up right here. For instance, if I have a user that we're trying to create, the collection in the database is going to be users here, right here. And these are the items that I am saving in my database: the username, email, password, balance, account checking, and multiple transactions. So these transactions, as they show up here in the database, object 0, 1, 2, 3, and they come from the front end, and we're taking the deposit, the transaction amount, and the date. So this is like, this is here is my database, and this is MongoDB. When I started upgrading the app, I switched to the Mongoose schema, and I set up the database accordingly. And this is where the input that I take from the front end. This is the user, email, password, account number, type, and I set up everything in a Mongoose schema. And I gave permission roles to the users when they sign up. And users by default, they get 200 in 2022 by default. And to become admin or editor, I would give them like their secret number. Also, tokens and cookies started to get saved also in the database. I'm using the client here for the user, and transactions also here for the transactions. And the database is right here. This is for the upgraded database. My users are over here, and this is where I take all their information and the transactions, and they are separated by email, so I can grab an email and grab all the transactions. Okay, for my APIs, we start connecting the front end with the back end right over here. We're doing a fetch, and we're registering the email, username, password, and an account number. This is where we connect to the database. This is where the interaction happens between front end and back end. And the same information that we are taking, we're sending it to the data abstraction layer, where we take all this information right here. It's the same information. This is like the submit form that we're using, and the document that we're inserting in the database. And right here, this is the collection that we're going to, and this is the main database that the API is going to send the information on. And my server is going to take the information. First, we're going to check and see if we have a account that exists. If it does not, then we continue with our submission, and we send in the name, the email, the password, and the account number to the database. After I started working on upgrading the app started to take a little bit more organization, and I started separating my routes, and I have a route folder here for the main routes: authorization, logout, registration, and a multiple one for transactions and users. And then instead of the data abstraction layer, I have the controllers, where I control all my data and how it flows. On the front end, I am using Axios. This is my create account, so I'm using Axios to connect to front end to the back end, and we're taking the same information: user, email, password, account number, and when it's created. And we're starting with a zero balance. I also checked out GraphQL, and I organized a similar structure using this model here: type, definitions, resolvers, my accounts. This is what everything is needed for GraphQL. My Swagger documentation. This is my documentation for the API, and it says the app name and the host that I'm launching it from, 4000, name of the app, my the path, the transactions, what they are, description of them, what is needed, tags. Like this one is creating a new transaction. It's a post. And what is needed to have in the body, This is like a transaction. When I get a transaction by email, I need the email that is important here, and tells you retrieve transaction by email. I have this one's for the create account. It gives definition about what is needed for creating an account. It's a user name, user email, what it is. It's very similar to like what we're doing here with GraphQL. I find working probably with GraphQL is a little bit easier because it just combines everything in one environment.